Creepers left to rise, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to steal my lady. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spill drinkers Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. And when we make love, babe, don't make a sound. The clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around. 2,000 little fires. And ooh, your circle is spreading. Slowing things down when I wanted to race. Catching up again when you try to chase. Feels like we're playing space. You always find a way to make up, right? Even when we're such a fly. Even when tensions run high. You gotta soften up your sleeves, girl.
Look at these two. Look at these two. Don't! Cosmo! They always want to be playing. And his whole mouth fits around her head. So, I gotta be careful with them. But, they get along well, huh? They just want to play all the time. Wanda, are you gonna get him? Cosmo! Oh, there you are. Okay. Thank you. Okay, now go away for a minute. We're gonna film a video. Okay, hello. Hello, friends. Welcome back. Here we have Wanda on my lap again. Little Miss Ma'am is 11 weeks old. Say hello. She's getting a little fluffy. I need to give her another haircut. Because we don't want her to look like a... I mean, it would be okay, but she's a schnauzer, so she should look like a schnauzer and not like a doodle, you know? Anyway, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be just a short clip because today is the first day of the Mafia Romance Readathon, and so that's what I'm going to be vlogging. And puppy, can you just be good for a minute? Look at the camera. Look, Wanda. Look right here. Yes, good girl. Look right here. Oh, good girl, huh? She's getting so big, you guys. And yes, they do get along. They just want to play all the time, and I'm not... She doesn't realize she's breakable, and he doesn't realize that she's breakable. And so their play is kind, and they love each other, but I don't know if they love each other yet, but they definitely like each other. But I don't let them just play free-for-all all the time, because she's just a baby. So, Mafia Romance. That's what we're reading in this week's reading vlog. And I've already started my first book. So the book I started is Filthy Rich by Serena Ackroyd. Now, I did read the first book in the series last year for the Mafia Romance Readathon. And wow, this was a bad idea to put her on my lap. Okay, Kazi, can you go away for just a minute? So I read the first book last year. For the Mafia Romance Readathon, and I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. So Jen, who is hosting this readathon, put a TBR together for me with books she thinks that I would like, and she put the second book in the Filthy series on my TBR, so that's the book that I started with. It's called Filthy Rich, and this is the same family from the first book, and this is an arranged marriage. It's also an age gap. Our heroine is 18. She gets married on her wedding day, and let me just tell you, I typically really hate that. I really don't like super young heroines. I feel like most of the time they are either so obviously immature They're either so obviously immature or they feel unrealistically mature. You know, like I know there are definitely those people who are in situations where they are more mature than they seem. But anyway, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that. But let me separate them real quick. Okay, I'm back. So the hero, I'm not exactly sure how old he is. I'm only on chapter 3, but I'm really liking this so far. I like the hero. We get his point of view and the heroine's point of view. I really like the audiobook. This is some of my favorite audiobook narrators. It's Wes, I think it's Wes and Kai Wen. It's Wen Ross and Kai. And I do like the dynamic. So I really actually love Serena Ackroyd's writing. I find her writing to be very consumable, very easy for me to get into the story, and I am very happy about that because I just have come off of a string of reading fantasy romances, and I actually just finished Air of Fire. So I'm excited to be in something that is not a fantasy setting, that is not a historical, something contemporary. I think that that is really refreshing and really helping me get into this book quickly. So right now where I'm at, they are literally just barely got married on her 18th birthday. It is like a, you know, an arranged marriage. So he is from the Irish Mafia, she is from the Russian Mafia, and she comes from a family where she was abused. She shows up on her wedding day veiled and covered because she has bruises. She's been beaten by her father, and the hero notices immediately, and there's a moment in there where literally they've just gotten married. They don't know each other, they've seen each other before. And he's like, who did this to you? And it's just like, it's stuff like that that makes me really love Mafia Romance, you know? Like, I just can't get enough of the who did this to you, I will destroy them. Like, it's just so wonderful. And that hero is giving off this energy big time. So I'm excited about this one. I think I'm going to really enjoy it, hopefully. And I'll keep you updated as I continue in this book. So let me tell you about the other books that I hope to read. So one of them is, let me pull up my TBR. Okay, so another book that I want to read is Savage Tracker by Maggie Cole. I also read the first book in this series last year for the Mafia Romance Readathon, Ruthless Stranger, which is right here, which is one of my favorite books. I love this book so much. So I have continued on in the series. I've read the first 3 and I haven't liked any of them quite as much as this one. But Savage Tracker I know is one of Jen's favorites, and so I am excited to read that. Hopefully I'm going to love that one too. Another book that I have on my TBR is Savage Hearts by J.T. Geisinger. This is book 3 in her Queens and Monsters series. I did enjoy the first and second books. I gave them both 4 stars, so I am excited for this one. I think it's going to be a fun time. Honestly, those are the books that I want to focus on for sure. I also put Run, Posey, Run by Kate C. Wells on here, but I'm not sure that I will get to that because that one doesn't have an audio, so I don't know, but I would love to read that one too. So those are the books that I want to read. Hopefully I'll have some good things to say. Hopefully you'll think I have some good things to say. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to keep my expectations kind of low and just focus on having a good time and enjoying these books, and we'll see how it goes. So far the first book is a win. The writing is easy to get into, and who doesn't love a who did this to you moment? It's so good. Alright, so I've got my drink, Wanda needs to go potty, and then I need to start working and listen to this audiobook, so it's going to be a good day. I'll talk to y'all when I have some more to update you about. Hello my friends, welcome to the vlog again, another vlog clip, another day. Today is day 2 of the Mafia Romance Readathon, and I finished my first book. So I finished Filthy Rich by Serena Ackroyd. This is the second book in the Filthy series, and I read the first book, I don't remember if I said this in the first clip, I need to edit this vlog. I read the first book last year for the Mafia Romance Readathon, and I liked it. These books, from the 2 that I have read, they're very much relationship-driven books. There's also a big emphasis on the physical aspect of their relationship, which is a lot of the times something that will keep it from being a 5-star read for me. So the first book I gave 4 stars. This book I gave 4 stars, but I liked it a lot better than the first book. I don't know what it was about this. This has some things in here that I usually wouldn't like. Like, we have a very young heroine. She literally gets married on her 18th birthday, and the hero is 31, so there's a significant age gap there. And I just don't really love books with heroines that young. I feel like they just don't work for me most of the time. They are just extremely immature because they're babies, you know, even though they're legally an adult, they're really not, you know what I mean? So, I actually didn't know that was the case here. Although I know that is a very common Mafia trope. You have the virgin bride gets married on her 18th birthday, you know, arranged marriage, things like that. And that's exactly what happened here. This is full of Mafia tropes. It has an arranged marriage, a virgin bride. She gets married on her 18th birthday. But for whatever reason, and I think I'm going to talk about a few reasons why, this book just really worked for me. I enjoyed this a lot. This is a solid 4-star read. There are a few things keeping it from being a 5-star, but there's nothing that would make me not recommend it. I think that if you are looking to get started reading Mafia and you don't really know where to start, I feel like this book, I personally don't feel like you need to read the first book, even though those characters do show up in here. I mean, you may be a little lost in that portion, but I feel like you could jump into this book if you wanted to, just to test it out. I think it would be really great for people who are new to Mafia because the Mafia aspects in this are pretty low-key. They don't really come up to the forefront until the end. There's not a ton of dark or triggering content. Like, I was trying to think about trigger warnings, and other than you know, the heroine is abused and beaten by her father. And there is some violence in here because it is Mafia, but it's definitely not over the top. It's not anything that I would think would be super dark or troubling. The Mafia plot is very minimal. The focus of this book is really Owen and Inessa's relationship. And it was really beautiful to watch it develop. Another thing that I think is interesting here and surprised me that I liked it so much is that the development of their relationship is almost entirely because of their physical intimacy. Like, it's so interesting to me because they start off having an attraction to one another, and the hero, Owen, you know, he knows this is an arranged marriage. He doesn't really want this, but from the minute that he, like, says his vows and he sees that she's clearly been beaten on their wedding day, this protectiveness and this possessiveness that is, I would consider, not toxic at all, sort of rises up in him, and he, like, claims her as his and wants to protect her and deal vengeance to those who hurt her. And I absolutely ate that up. Like, that was literally so delicious. I just adored that. I love that type of hero. He did not feel toxic to me at all. Like, even in the beginning when he agrees in their wedding, when he's marrying her, the subtext there is definitely that, you know, she's my property, nobody hurts my property, and I felt like a little bit of, like, my back was rising up, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know about you. But, like, the way that he went about it was honestly very sweet. He had a big consideration for her consent, like, throughout the whole thing. There was all of the things that he did were motivated for things that he thought she would like. Like, it was just a really beautiful, almost fluffy slice of life Mafia romance, and I honestly adored it. So I gave it 4 stars in my head, but I don't know, I kind of think maybe it's a 5-star because I just really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 5-star actually. Y'all, how many times do I come in here with a book and I'm like, yeah, it was a 4-star, because I have, like, these things that weren't perfect. And one of the things that isn't perfect is towards the end, like the last maybe 25% of the book, you get some additional point of views. Some of those are characters from the first book, and some of them are characters for future books, and the attention on our couple is diverted to those other people. So I wish that hadn't happened. I didn't feel like it was necessary. I feel like I was disappointed that we didn't get the full focus on our couple because I loved them so much. So that was pretty disappointing. And the other thing, and this is very minuscule because it truly didn't bother me, but I did notice it, and it's really just that there's not really much of a plot here. So if you are a romance reader who needs a strong plot in your Mafia romances, this may not work for you because the focus is almost entirely on Owen and Inessa's relationship, which I absolutely loved. So yeah, upon discussing this with you, I was fully prepared to come in here and say, yeah, it was 4-star, but, like, I just really enjoyed the heck out of this. This was very sweet. It was very steamy. Like, this was spicy, very hot. And I also think that it is a little bit kinky. As I really liked it. So 5 stars for this one. I really loved this couple. It surprised me on a lot of levels. I would also almost say this was a little bit low angst. There were some, the way that this author writes some of her sex scenes, I don't particularly love that. Like, there are a few things, and nothing that I could really, like, pinpoint, but there were a few things that sort of made me like a little cringy, you know, but nothing terrible. So yeah, overall, I mean, it wasn't perfect. I feel like I've had a few books like this recently where like my enjoyment of the book was really high, that I don't really care about the things that I noticed that maybe drew away from what would be considered like a perfect book. Things that I noticed, like my enjoyment of this couple and their relationship was much higher than any irritation that I had with issues. So yeah, I started out thinking it was going to be a 4-star read when I opened this clip, and now you have convinced me talking to you has convinced me to give it a 5-star. So yeah, I like this a lot. I really loved it. I loved it a lot more than the first book, which is surprising. So interesting. Okay, that was a good time. Really, really liked that. So then I picked up, the next book that I picked up is Savage Tracker by Maggie Cole. I really love Maggie Cole's Mafia romances. There's something about her writing that to me is particularly addictive. And I think a large part of that is something that she does in the books that I have read. This is the fourth book of hers that I have read. Something that all of them have had a focus on is largely women who are in relationships initially where they believe it's going to be their happily ever after. And then, you know, something happens to them, their husband or partner ends up being abusive in several different ways, and they find themselves in this really terrible relationship with some trauma that has resulted from the abuse of these men in their lives. And something that I think is really beautiful and I think is just so well done here that I love Maggie Cole for is that she introduces a hero who is sort of like the perfect vessel to help her heal. And a lot of the ways that he does that is through dominance, but it's often dominance at her request. So I think that is a really, really interesting dynamic, because in their previous relationship, specifically the heroine in this book, she's just gotten divorced from what she believed was going to be her happily ever after. She got married very young. She's a Greece heroine, or she's from Greece. That sounded weird. She's native to Greece. And her parents were against her marriage originally. But she, you know, had stars in her eyes and was very in love with this man, and she determined that he was going to be for her. She goes ahead and marries him. Years pass, and she finds herself in an extremely abusive relationship that is traumatizing on many levels. Domestic violence and emotional abuse and all kinds of abuse. She manages to escape and divorce, and she has this connection with Obrecht, who we meet in previous books. A very, like, physical chemistry type of connection. And he is the hero who is basically helping her through this trauma through some BDSM. And it's absolutely beautiful at this point. Like, I am just completely invested in this. This author, I really enjoy her books. I feel like she has a great understanding of how relationships create trauma, and also really introduces the ultimate fantasy of a new partner who comes in and is actually that perfect match for you, and is actually the one who's going to help you heal and recover from the trauma that you suffered at the hands of someone else. So I think that's a really beautiful concept there. This book is definitely hot. Lots of chili peppers. But something that I am really loving here, that I've been critical about in the sex scenes in books in the past, is that they don't really do anything to move the story or progress the relationship. But I feel like in this one specifically, it's very clear that what is happening in this relationship in the bedroom or physically is pushing and moving the relationship forward. So I just started it today, so I'm on chapter 6. I'm listening to the audio. And interesting thing is this has the same narrators as the Filthy Rich, who they're some of my favorite narrators. I love everything that they do. And I'm just obsessed with it. So I'm very excited to continue listening to this and continue reading this. And yeah, Jen has picked out some good books for me. I hope that my good opinion of this book continues, because right now I'm really captivated and just, I want to see this heroine heal, and I love that this man is wanting to help her do that. Like, there's some really beautiful scenes in here when they're being intimate where he can tell that, you know, her previous husband did things to her that created this trauma response. And so he's trying to, as the dominant person, he's trying to really be aware of that and help her and not create more fear and trauma while still being dominant. And it's just fascinating. It's really fascinating, and it's also really beautiful. And I just find it absolutely compelling, and I don't want to stop reading it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get to work. I made my tea, and Lil Wanda was here. Lil Wanda was here helping me, but now she's in her crate taking a nap, so hopefully I can get a ton of work done while she's sleeping. So I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna keep listening to Savage Tracker, and then I'll give y'all an update at some point. I'll see you soon.
The last breath of summer is blowing down our necks, and soon we'll wave goodbye to the fleeting bliss. Because you are like a tidal wave, ripping up my life, not living without a trace. And you know that I'm your silent patient. You know I'm your silent patient. I've been waiting to hold me up. I'll be holding on through the winter for your kiss to wake me up. Now with the colors of spring, my heart will blossom up again. The speed in her heart, and with your smile it will erupt. And I collect all I can, set aside all the supplies. Your kisses and warmness to get through winter time. Because I'm your silent patient. Yes, I'm your silent patient. I've been waiting so long.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. We are back at my kitchen counter again. It's Saturday, day 3 of the Mafia Romance Readathon, and I finished another book. So I finished Savage Tracker by Maggie Cole, and I already talked, I feel like, quite a bit about how I was feeling about it, but I give this book 5 stars. Like, this book for me was an easy 5 stars. The thing that I think is so beautifully done here in this book is the relationship, obviously. I mean, it is the shining star of the book, but there are some mafia elements that come into play towards the end of this where the focus isn't on our couple, which is similar to what happened in Filthy Rich. And so, you know, that was a little disappointing just because I was enjoying the relationship so much. It was just so beautiful. Like, I feel like, you know, I've often heard Jen, you know, Jen from the Book Refuge, y'all know her. She made this TBR for me, and she's been telling me about this book for ever since she read an arc of it, which was forever ago. It feels like last year sometime. And she is a big fan of BDSM as healing. And I haven't really explored BDSM a whole ton in my books. It's not necessarily something that I go looking for. I do really enjoy how Pam Godwin handles that, specifically in Dark Notes. I think is just stunning, beautifully done. And that was a huge element in this plot. And I cannot even tell you enough how much I adored this couple, and very specifically, like, the very interesting dynamic they have where we have this very fragile woman who has experienced an intense amount of trauma. You know, her ex-husband basically treated her as a slave, had her do some pretty horrific things that are not graphically depicted, but they are mentioned here, you know, things involving sex with other people, really sort of forcing her to do his will, and in some pretty violent ways. And so she has gained a little bit of independence and just the tiniest amount of confidence in living an independent life where she's not bound and shackled to this man and has to do everything that he says. But that doesn't always come across in her reactions with Obrecht, the hero, who is very much a dom to her. And she wants to please him. She wants to do whatever he says. And that's almost like a need that she has to fulfill. And I think it's interesting because a lot of that has been just imprinted upon her from her relationship with her previous husband. And the hero Obrecht sees that. And this is the thing that really won me over, honestly. He sees that she is so willing to do whatever he says and to be very submissive to him. He sees that desire in her, and instead of taking that and using it against her or exploiting that for his own good and benefit, the only thing that he does is he dominates her in a way that he knows is going to bring her healing, or that he knows is what she needs. And it was so beautiful. Like, I feel like I love this type of hero. I love this type of dynamic. I'm honestly obsessed with it. This was a 6-star book for me. This is one of my favorite books of the year. And like I said, like, the ending, I do wish it hadn't taken away a little bit of emphasis from the couple, because it was just so beautiful and powerful. But because the emphasis on the couple was so beautiful and powerful to me, it transcends any flaws for me personally. I adored this. The thing that I know I got on a tangent, but the thing that really wins me over about this book and this very specific dynamic of a heroine who is very submissive, and she's been beaten and abused, and she is a little like gun shy, you know, like a kicked dog who just sort of like flinches away. But she has that desire. She wants to please him. She wants to be submissive. She wants to do everything that will make him happy. And here we have this extremely powerful man, powerful physically and powerful emotionally over her, and mentally even in this aspect, because he knows and understands how BDSM works, and he knows what she needs, and he also knows that her ex-husband didn't do it the right way and didn't give it to her. So we have this extremely powerful man, and we have a woman in a position who could very easily be taken advantage of, and was in her previous relationship. And this man, this hero, never ever abuses that power that he knows he has over her. The only reason he uses his power is to give her what she wants and what she needs. Oh my gosh. Like, I cannot even express to you how much of that is 100% my thing, my personal, like, kink, or whatever you want to say. Like, that is my thing. When you have a man in that type of power, who is holding that type of power over the woman, and he never uses it for his own gain, he never uses it to take advantage of her, it's only to take care of her, I lose my mind. I lose my mind over that. That's literally, like, my favorite thing. So that aspect of it in this book was so beautifully and perfectly done, and I feel like the BDSM element was a really perfect foil to show that story and that relationship dynamic. Fantastic. Chef's kiss. Obviously extremely hot. Extremely hot. And a lot of the storytelling was being told through the physical intimacy, which I liked a whole lot. So that book was fantastic. That is definitely going on my favorite list of the year. Jen, you were right. You were right. I had no doubts. I had no doubts. It was amazing. So good. So I finished that book. And then I have 2 books on my TBR. Let me go grab Run Posey Run real quick so I don't have to put a picture in. Okay, so the other books on my TBR I have today and tomorrow to read as much as I can. I would love for this vlog to come out Monday. I don't know that it will be edited in time, but I will. I mean, this is going to be a really long vlog. So get your popcorn, get your tea, get your coffee, and hopefully enjoy this content. So I have 2 books left on my TBR that I really want to read, and I have started both of them. One is an audio and one is a physical book. So I'm going to talk about the physical book really quickly. This isn't available on audio, but I've been wanting to read this book for so long, ever since Jen first told me about it. Like, when Jen first read this book, clearly I'm very influenced by Jen and Jesson from Jesson Reads Romance. Those are my 2 those are my 2 book go-tos. I mean, obviously all of romance book too, but those 2 specifically because I talk to them every day and they tell me what to read. Anyway, I remember when Jen first read this and she's like, I don't know if you would like this, but I can't stop thinking about it. And I was like, I want to read it just for the things she was telling me about it, which I have since forgotten because it's been like a year. But this book is basically a captor-captive Italian mob, I believe. And so the couple in here, they're in a relationship when it opens, and then come to find out this video of the heroine with another man has been released, and the hero is furious because he believes that it happened when they were together, but because it had been doctored to make him feel like that. So he essentially kicks her out, and that's where I'm at right now. She's trying to survive with absolutely nothing because he didn't give her anything when she left. So this, you know, I so enjoyed The Tyrant Alpha's Rejected Mate that I was very impressed with Kate C. Wells' writing. So again, the same thing here. Her writing is addictive to me. I absolutely love her writing and the way she tells a story. I am hooked. I'm only this far into it. I literally just started it today. I need to get some work done. It's Saturday. I'm still going to work on my sculptures and things like that, but I wanted to update you all. So I am very interested in this. I really want to see how this story is going to pan out, and I expect there to be maybe some type of grovel. I haven't actually heard that there is a big grovel in here, so I'm curious what's going to happen. But high hopes for this one. So that's what I'm physically reading, and then I am listening to the audiobook of Savage Hearts by J.T. Geisinger. I have read the first 2 books, liked them, they were very fun, gave them both 4 stars, I enjoyed them, and I'm enjoying this one too. J.T. Geisinger's writing is very, very consumable, again, like very easy to read. She has some pretty good snarky banter, and her heroes are just protective alphas gone for the woman, which is a theme of this vlog, and I am here for it. That's like my favorite thing. This one is definitely going to be an outlier in that way because he is treating the heroine in a not great way. So interesting. But I also really enjoy that type of dynamic. I think it's interesting to read. It's not giving me the swoony romantic feels like Savage Tracker did specifically. Like, oh my gosh, the hero in there, oh my gosh, like I'm never gonna forget. Oh, okay, we're done talking about Savage Tracker for now. Anyway, interested to see what I think about this. I'm on about chapter 12 of Savage Hearts, and very much enjoying it. So it's a good time. That one is also, I believe, a captor-captive. We have the sister of the heroine from Carnal Urges who, you know, she's in danger, so her sister and Declan come to, like, take her so she doesn't get hurt because of what things Declan has done. So this one so far is a pretty slow burn, but I'm into it. I'm really enjoying it. So those are the books I want to finish, and I will update you with my final thoughts on that. But wouldn't it be amazing if, like, all of these were 5 stars? That'd be amazing. Let's see. I will say I am liking Savage Hearts better than I did Carnal Urges and Ruthless Creatures, so we'll see if that continues, because I haven't given either of those 5 stars. I really liked them. A couple of things that kept them back from 5 stars for me, but I get the hype for them. So, all right, I'm gonna get to work and hopefully finish these 2 books, and then I'll come back and let you know my final thoughts. Oh my goodness, look at this big boy. Look at this big boy, huh? There's been so much doggo content in this vlog. Hopefully you're okay with that. Hi, baby. You're a good boy, huh? Thank you very much, yes. This big guy. Love of my life, I tell you what, huh? Yes, love of my life, huh? Well, my friends, today is the last day of the Mafia Romance Readathon. and I finished some books that I want to talk about. So, first of all, I want to talk about Savage Hearts by J.T. Geisinger. So this book is the third book in the series, and I do feel like you definitely need to read this series in order. The big plot point in this book is really a carryover from the first and second books. And so that being said, I want to say that I gave this book 5 stars. This is the first book in the series that I gave 5 stars, and there are a few reasons why this specifically worked for me. The hero in this book is fantastic, but honestly, all of the heroes in this series are fantastic. They really are very powerful, dangerous men who are completely soft for the woman, so they're very A+ alpha mellow heroes in that way. If you love an alpha mellow, if you love a protective hero, like, you're gonna love this series. In the previous books, something that kind of grated on my nerves a little bit, not enough to really make me rant and rave, but just enough to make it not quite a 5-star, is that they really do rely quite a lot on insta-love. And that's not something that I'm a huge fan of. And when I say rely on it, it's like, I mean, I do feel like, I feel like that's something this author is pretty well known for, and it's not the type of insta-love that, like, turns you off immediately, you know? Like, I feel like some people might not even notice it, but I feel like because I'm sensitive to that, specifically when it follows up physical intimacy, that I usually am like, well, that's insta-love, you know? So that kind of makes me not super enjoy it. And I also feel like because this series is so very hyped, that I tend to approach hyped books much more critically than I would books that are not hyped, you know? Books that are generally hyped, I approach much more critically than books that are maybe recommended to me specifically. So this book I hadn't heard a lot of raving about, I hadn't heard a lot of gushing about, and I think that's largely just because it is book 3 in the series. It's a fairly new release, and yeah. So, I loved this book. This has all of the things that you want in a J.T. Geisinger book. Like, she's really well known for having great chemistry with her characters, some really great banter. She has really strong heroines. There are some really funny moments. Like, the heroine, it almost reads a little bit like a Mafia rom-com, honestly. But a very steamy Mafia rom-com. And I really enjoyed it. This was just a ton of fun. I really liked this heroine. I liked how she, I don't know, she just seemed like I almost said she's not like other girls, but like that's not it. But she does seem different than a stereotypical Mafia heroine who is just this complete bombshell, has great clothes, you know, like, not that there's anything wrong with that at all. Like, I don't, but it is a bit of a tired concept that these big, powerful mafia men typically look for exceptionally beautiful arm candy type of women. And not that this woman wasn't beautiful, this heroine, but there was just something about her that made her seem a little bit different and unique in a way that I really enjoyed. I like how she is very open-minded. I like how she, you know, prefers to wear clothes that are comfortable. I like how she really stands up for what's right and how she's very protective of people, and I love how she didn't back down one tiny bit to the hero. And the hero, for his part, is very powerful. Like, he is basically a mafia man who is so feared that people don't even want to speak his name. And he's on a mission to go and find his brother's killer, who he believes that the heroine in this book, I believe her name is Riley, he believes that she's been taken, like, kidnapped by the people who killed his brother, not realizing that she's with the people who killed his brother because that's her sister Sloane, who's the heroine from the first book. So it's very complicated in that way. And this book had great caretaking scenes. This book had a lot of great steam. This, again, like, has this hero who is very alpha, very powerful, but he prioritizes her consent because, and I love this so much, and I specifically love that this is in a Mafia Romance book, he prioritizes her consent for her, but also because he is not the type of man that gets off on someone not being into it, and I just love that so very much, you know? So this book was a ton of fun. It was just a really great time, and like I said, like, I didn't feel like the insta-love was here, and I'm not sure if that's me riding the high of just enjoying the heck out of these Mafia books. Maybe I'm in a completely different mindset where, like, I went into this book not being critical. I went into this whole weekend readathon not trying to be critical. Like, I really wanted to just enjoy these stories. And I think that because these authors specifically have worked for me, at least to some degree in the past, like none of the authors that I have read this weekend are authors that I've given less than 4 stars. So that's a pretty solid author for me. That's an author that shows that I enjoy their writing style. So it was a good opportunity for me to not pick apart the writing, which is usually where some Mafias tends to fall flat for me. So I enjoyed this immensely. I just loved this couple. This hero just completely gone for her. Completely gone for her. And I mean, they all are in the series, but there was something specific about this, and I think it had a lot to do with he was the epitome of a powerful, dangerous mafia man that just made it completely work for me. So 5 stars for this one. Super enjoyed it. Honestly had the best time reading it, and yeah, it was great. Really fun. So, the last book that I read, and a book that I am not going to be forgetting anytime soon, is Run, Posey, Run by Kate C. Wells. This little book, this is a very short book. It's only like 250 pages, but wow, this story swept me away and just gripped me by the throat. Like, I could not stop reading this book. I mean, I had to at times, but when I had to stop reading it, I was thinking about it. I was just obsessed with this couple. I think they have such an interesting relationship dynamic. It's very complex. It's super, super complicated. And they, you know, it's interesting because, oh gosh, like I don't want to spoil things, because the unraveling of their relationship and the way that they realize things about their relationship is so completely fascinating. But the gist of it is, he's a sociopath. He, you know, doesn't feel love. Typical sociopath in that way, doesn't feel love. So it's absolutely fascinating. And watching the heroine, you know, she didn't really know in the beginning that he was a sociopath. Or maybe she did know in the back of her mind, but she chose not to, like, contextualize that. She was just 100% convinced that he loved her. And one of the reasons that she believes that he loves her is because of the way that he gives her flowers. He remembers her favorite shows, her favorite authors. He remembers certain dates. Like, he does these romantic gestures, you know. And his other behavior when they're together, she sort of just puts up with because of the other romantic gestures that he's doing. And come to find out, it was a hired woman for the whole mafia who does those romantic gestures. So when she realizes that, when he's already kicked her out because he believes she's been unfaithful, when she doesn't find out until she's left. When she finds that out, the glass castle that she has built up of this man and their love just completely shatters and crumbles. And so the whole book is really her questioning, why does she behave this way with men? Why does she behave this way in relationships? Why does she consistently put her needs back to have their needs met? It's very feminist in that way, but never in a way that feels preachy or like it's got, like, that's the message. It's just powerfully told from the heroine's point of view, because she's realizing these things, how every single relationship she has had has done that, she's done that in those relationships, and she's mad at herself for doing that. But the thing also that really kept me reading is Dario, I was going to say Darius, and then I'm like, that's not right. That's not an S on the end. Dario is obsessed with her. You know, it's very similar to There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. He is obsessed with her. He wants to keep her, wants her to be his. But throughout this journey, when he captures her, gets her back, he finds himself questioning his motivations about why he's doing these things. Why does it bother him when she's unhappy? Why does it bother him when she doesn't experience pleasure in sex? You know, it's just, this little book is freaking fantastic. And I feel like this is the type of book that I could read over and over and over again and never get tired of it. I mean, I gave this book 5 stars. This is a 6-star read for me. This book was fantastic. I loved it so much. You know, the thing that I find very interesting in romance books, something that I'm always looking for, is this, not this exact type of relationship, but this story relationship where people are really asking and questioning themselves, why am I with this person? Why do I feel like this? Why do I have this unbearable desire to be with this person when maybe they don't treat me right, or maybe I don't like this about them? Why am I in this relationship? Why can't I walk away? And sometimes it is just as simply as love. Sometimes it's something more complicated, you know? Like, there's a whole another aspect of this where she's examining what maybe one of the reasons she wants to be with him is because he provides her safety, and that's something that she wants desperately. She wants to feel safe. She wants to feel taken care of. Oh my goodness, it was so good. And also, like, obviously, because this is a romance novel, like, the swoon factor as you were reading this until you get towards the end, like, probably the last 75 pages, it's very low swoon factor. It really is very much this man who is trying to control her, trying to keep her in line because he needs her. There's some aspect of him, and he doesn't call it love, he doesn't believe it's love, but he needs her. He needs her to be safe, he needs her to be with him, and then as the book continues on, you see that the reason that he needs her is it's not just about having her in that house. When she's unhappy in that house, he doesn't like that. So it's just so fascinating. Like, I am completely gobsmacked with this author's talent. Having read this and the Tyrant Alpha book, this woman is an incredible talent, and I can tell you right now, I'm going to go and read every single thing that she's written because I am so impressed with her books. There is something about her writing that is completely gripping that makes it almost impossible to put it down, and I'm always on the lookout for an author like that. But she also adds all of these layers about different relationship dynamics and how they work and how they don't, how they're harmful, how they're helpful. It's just fascinating, and I feel like this is the perfect arena for a story like this to be told because it's saying so much about how women will put themselves in a relationship. They will do things, they will put up with things that they don't want to do because they're prioritizing this man who they believe that they love or who provides them with safety or something because they want to keep him, you know? It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm not painting a really romantic picture of this book, but it was fabulous. I loved it. And, you know, at the end, I keep saying it's not super swoony, but you do get that payoff at the end. Like, you do. Kate C. Wells knows what she's doing when she's writing these books, and she puts you through the ringer and makes you almost hate this man so much for what he does to the heroine, but then at the end, she completely makes it worth it for you. Like, this book was fantastic. 6 stars. Loved it. So, real quick, Jen, if you're watching this, thank you so much for putting together this TBR. These books hit my id right in the right spot. These were fantastic reads for me. I enjoyed all of them. They were all 5-star reads, all of them. 2 of them were 6 stars. This one and Savage Tracker. And honestly, I think that if I had to pick a favorite between Run Posey Run and Savage Tracker, it would be Savage Tracker. Just because that speaks to me so much, that story of abuse and finding this man who's going to try and heal those broken pieces for you. And you can say whatever you want, whatever type of commentary you want about that. That's something that I absolutely love. A man who has the power to hurt you, but chooses ultimately to heal you. Oh, love it. What a great reading weekend. This was fabulous. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Wow. I don't know. It was a good time. So, G. Willikers, what a readathon. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for being here, and if you want to leave me an emoji, feel free to leave me anything that you think, I don't know, would be appropriate for a Mafia Romance readathon. Maybe like a black heart. Can we do that? If you want. And yeah, let me know if you participated too and what your favorite book was. I'd also love to know that. So, thank you, my friends. I'll see y'all in my next video.